It's all under the breeze. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling his tea, spilling and sipping his tea, spilling and sipping his tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda degree, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling 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 and sipping this tea. It's Yolanda degree. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda degree, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea.
What's going on, Diamond Gang? Shouts out to everybody that showed up tonight. I finally got my YouTube channel back. However, I am streaming live from Rumble and YouTube at the same time. So I can see you guys' comments in the chat. Okay. So it's going to take me a minute to get used to everything again, but this will be the way that I will be streaming from here on out. I will be streaming directly through Rumble onto YouTube. I will no longer be going through StreamYard. I will no longer be doing vertical live streams. If I do, it'll be only here and there, but I will not be doing the verticals on a regular basis like I was doing prior to me losing my channel. Shouts out to the doll. Shouts out to EJ. Shouts out to my girl Marie. Thank you guys, and anybody that replays this live stream back. Okay, make sure you guys either follow me on Rumble or subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the same. The Great Spills the Tea. So, um, prior to my channel being terminated, I was doing separate live streams. Now it's all going to be combined. So, um, I'm not going to have that type of time to focus on two separate platforms. Before my channel was terminated, I was doing longer live streams on YouTube and shorter live streams on Rumble. So what I'm going to try to do is just do one live stream, long one, streaming on both. So that's what I'll do instead of trying to bounce from platform to platform. That's not going to work for me. But we got a lot of stuff to go over. It looks like the war is back on. It looks like it's back on. The Iranians hit 3 tankers in the straits. Okay. And because they hit 3 tankers in the straits, we actually hit 80 targets, including 60 small boats belonging to the IRGC. Not only that, we lifted sanctions off of Iran June 21st. Guess what? We put it right back on them. We reopposed those sanctions right back on them. We're going to get into a little bit of the Supreme Leader's funeral. And where is his son, the new Supreme Leader? We're going to get into that. He hasn't been seen, he hasn't been heard from. Rumor has it that he was fatally injured. His face is disfigured. However, if he does not make himself present in some type of way, they are going to lose credibility. That's the bottom line. Iran will lose credibility because right now they are acting as if he is leading them right now. So we don't know if he's alive or not. We have no clue, no idea. Also, we're going to get into Benjamin Netanyahu. He is in his feelings because Trump is helping Turkey out. Okay. So Trump has made the decision to help Turkey out, and Benjamin Netanyahu is in his feelings about it. So we're going to get into that as well. Give me just a few moments. Hey, Peanut, what's going on? Yeah, I'm back. I am back, Peanut. Thank you. Yep, I got a lot of work to do. A lot on both ends. Like I said, I can't afford right now to do separate live streams. So I'm going to try to combine them. My Rumble channel is growing. It's not like YouTube. It's more like a community. So you have to build a community over there. And so far, I like my community. I do. So, but we got a couple of things to get into as far as the war updates. I am so thankful. Like I said, I filed an appeal and I got a denial, and I went back and did some things a little different. They finally looked over my channel. They seen that I was not spamming or using deceptive practices. I did not violate YouTube's policies. So they decided to give me my channel back. However, I lost all my watch hours, so it's like I'm starting from scratch. Now, as far as my monetization, I will be eligible again to file for that next week. Okay. However, I gotta work and grind. There's no, I don't know. I'm going to attempt to get 4,000 watch hours over here, and we'll see how that goes. That's going to be a task. I'll have to go live every day, all day. So, but let me try to bring up my screen so we can start and get into what's going on. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Pull up my video. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me make sure it's up. We could get into it. Yeah, Trump is something else. He and his Benjamin Netanyahu is in his feelings. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, y'all know.
Look,
Let me stop right there. Y'all know the rules. All opinions will be respected as long as you're not disrespectful, even if your opinion is opposing to mass. This is an open platform. This is a safe space for people to say how they feel. Okay, even if it's opposing to mass, you may be able to change my mind. I may be able to see it your way. Who knows? Okay, but it's a safe space. Me, bestie. Yeah, I got it back. I got it back. What's good, Meek? All right, so let's get into it. We got a lot to get into. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Hey, shouts out MT. Everybody over there on YouTube. My boy Mitch, he came from the vertical world on YouTube. He has been rocking with me. EJ's been rocking with me. Marie, Robin. I don't know where Robin is, but she's been rocking with me. RAI. I mean, heavy. They've been over there on Rumble with me. Heavy, y'all. Heavy. But let's get into it, y'all. Let's go.
Donald Trump indeed probably was surprised because he's only fed one piece of information, and that is that, and he's heard it from Netanyahu endlessly, that if you attack Iran, the leadership will fall, and they can, and there will be a whole new government in there, and the people will rise up. Clearly, the
Listen, Iran showed us, and I have a clip in here. They showed us those people stick together. They are very strong, very strong. And I'm telling you guys right now, Israel is more isolated than ever right now. More than ever right now.
The videos speak volumes. He can see it for himself on TV if he's showing it. Now, none of this is being shown on Western TV, I might add. And again, he's only spoon-fed what the intelligence community gives him because he doesn't read and he doesn't get these types of films. But what is amazing, if he bothered to listen to other people, is that more than 100 nations were represented at the funeral.
And I told you guys too as well. He failed to take the advice from intelligence, okay? And who did he listen to? Benjamin Netanyahu, Jared Kushner, Witkoff, okay? I'm telling you guys, the funeral for the supreme leader, 100 countries showed up and showed out, even their enemies, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, like it was a little bit of everybody, and we'll get into it. They paid their respects. They tried to paint another picture. Marco Rubio threatened multiple countries. If you show up, we will cut off aid to you. We will no longer help you out. And some of them showed up anyway.
More people have turned out than at any funeral in the West, especially in the United States, and that's quite remarkable. And clearly it shows that Iran is not isolated, that Iran has tremendous friendship with quite a number of countries, that is also that it is now a respected power in the Middle East, and that it has in effect defeated the United States in this standoff.
Are you guys good on the YouTube side? Can you see it? Okay, cool. Yeah, they are now being looked at a whole totally different way.
We have learned from reports that senior American officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, waged an intensive behind-the-scenes campaign over the past 5 days. They contacted diplomats in at least 5 Arab countries and made explicit threats to cut development aid to African nations if they dared to send representatives to the funeral. The Americans even threatened to harm bilateral relations with any country that showed respect to the martyred leader. This was a global pressure campaign of staggering arrogance and hypocrisy. And guess what? It failed spectacularly. Instead of the isolated funeral the U.S. had hoped for, Tehran became the diplomatic capital of the world. Representatives from over...
Let me tell you, this funeral on the first day overshadowed Americans' 250 celebration. Overshadowed it. I'm telling you, it was everywhere, every media outlet.
100 countries attended, including high-level delegations from Russia, China, Pakistan, India, and most symbolically, Saudi Arabia. The U.S. threat was a paper...
And let me tell you why he said most symbolically. Because Saudi and Iran has been fighting amongst each other back and forth since the start of this war. It was kept quiet until Operation Freedom came out. Okay, once Operation Freedom was out there and Saudi got upset with Trump, that's when it came out. Because he was like, you didn't ask us to use our airspace, none of that. You just planned this Operation Freedom around us without asking us. Not only that, protect us. We've been fighting with Iran back and forth since the start. That's how it came out. That they had a small back and forth, firing back and forth exchange. But they showed up.
Tiger, and their attempt to bully the world into submission has only highlighted their growing irrelevance on the global stage. The sight of Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Army Chief Field Marshal Saeed Asim Munir standing alongside Russian and Chinese officials in Tehran is a powerful image of a new multipolar world order taking shape, one that explicitly rejects American hegemony. This massive global presence at the funeral has completely foiled the U.S. plot to isolate Iran, and it proves that the world is tired of the endless wars and sanctions that have defined American foreign policy for decades.
A tiny coffin, less than a meter in length.
Now we're going to get into the funeral just a little bit. I covered that on Rumble the other day. It was overwhelming. I'm going to be honest.
Draped in the Iranian flag. Inside it, the body of 14-month-old Zahra Mohammadi Golpayegani. It's laid carefully on top of 4 other coffins, one belonging to her mother. Her father, frame broken, stands before them, whispering a quiet prayer. These are the scenes from a public mourning held for Iran's supreme leader and his family, killed by the US and Israel in a single strike 4 months ago. But this is more than an ordinary funeral. It is a political event. These images were shared by Iran's state media alongside the hashtag Intiqam Khon Rahbar Shahid, revenge for the blood of the martyred leader. Revenge may seem a peculiar word for a country in the midst of peace talks, but for many of Iran's leaders, this is not just about laying the past to rest.
And what he's basically saying is that they want us to capitulate, and we're not doing it. This nation will reach new heights day after day.
Attendees carried red flags with the words, "O Avengers of Khamenei," mimicking a popular Shia rallying cry. Religious poet Muhammad Rasuli called for retribution.
Listen, Guys, don't be surprised in the coming weeks. Reports is coming out in regards to the investigation about the Namab school. I hope I pronounced that right. As far as the U.S. strikes hitting that all-girls school, bad intelligence, okay, and it is starting to come out more and more. We'll get into that later.
It is a war of words waged by both sides.
And we knocked the hell out of Iran. They're dying to settle. They want to settle so badly. We gave them a week off for a funeral because we're nice.
60 days of high.
We gave them a week off for a funeral because we're nice, is what he said. They're looking at that as a war crime. Okay? They hit his compound. Okay?
States nuclear negotiations with the U.S. are on hold until the funeral ends with Khamenei's burial on July 9. In the meantime, Iran's maneuvering hasn't stopped. Its foreign minister met with representatives from Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, Iran's 3 military partners in the region, while its China envoy announced that friendly countries would get special treatment in the Strait of Hormuz. And as Iran walks a tightrope in its negotiations with the U.S., there is a deep anger that persists among its most hardened voices.
And what they're basically saying is death to America.
The message they want to send to the Americans couldn't be clearer. After the funeral is over, Iran would be just as ready for war as for peace.
That part, because after tonight, and I told you guys in the beginning, we struck 80 targets, 60 at a small boats, and other air defense, areas. But they said that they're going to retaliate, and more than likely, they're going to go after more U.S. bases. We are now 21 in. They hit 21 bases. It may be even more. Last I counted, it was at least 21 U.S. bases. Y'all remember when I was on YouTube, I showed you guys how they were preparing their women and children for war. This is a female group in Iran. You're talking about women empowerment. This is actually the largest funeral of all funerals of all time. They are very proud people. Very proud. Now, right here, this is his 3 sons, okay? 3 of the former Supreme Leader's sons mourned at the side of their father's coffin. Maysam, that's the one to my far left, is Maysam. Masood is in the middle, and Mustafa is to my far right. Again, Mojtaba, they say that he is injured. He got injured in the strikes in the beginning of the war. They claim that his face is disfigured. He has not been seen. but the Iranians claim that he did not show because of fear that Israel would try to unalive him. Okay. But he didn't even give a statement. And that's the problem. They say he could have at least did some type of statement. So they feel as though is that he may be not able, he may be kind of possibly incapacitated. So that's the commander of the IRGC. Okay. The head of the IRGC. It was a lot of people there that came out that risked their lives basically showing up. That's Masoud. That's the Iranian president. He's very vocal. That's the lead negotiator and speaker of the Iranian parliament, Mohammed. That's the Iranian chief of justice. Again, because he has not been seen nor left a statement, they're going to have to, eventually the clock is ticking. They're either going to have to announce it, they're going to have to say something because, again, they're losing credibility. They're saying, but the severity of his injuries remain unclear. Some say he was okay, it was his legs. Some is saying that his entire face is disfigured. Now, I brought this clip because this is when the Ayatollah, when he first became Ali, his father, when he first became the supreme leader, he didn't even want it. He didn't think that he was good enough to become the supreme leader.
حالا غیر از این که خود من حقیقتا لایق این مقام نیستم و این رو بنده میدونم، شاید آقایونم میدونید. من خیلی برام روشنه که شورا نمیتونه.
This was 1989. Right now, this has resurfaced and this clip is going viral.
در مسئله مقام رهبری تصمیم گیری باشه، این که مقایسه میکنن با
They had to choose a successor to the Ayatollah, the previous one.
خب من نه از لحاظ قانون اساسی
And he's basically telling them, I'm not qualified for this job.
و نه از لحاظ شرعی برای بسیاری از آقایون.
And he said, from a religious point of view, many of you will not accept my words as those of a leader.
حرفم حجیت حرف رهبر رو نداره.
What sort of leadership will this be?
این چه رهبری خواهد بود؟
They refused to take no for an answer.
حالا ما رأی میگیریم دیگه بحثم نمی کنیم. آقایانی که با رهبری جناب آقای خامنه ای تا رفراندوم، البته این موقت دائمی است، تا اون موقع موافق هستند قیام بفرمایید.
Happening right now in Iran.
All right, guys. We're going to get into the funeral just a little more, and then we'll go into what's going on over there.
Is the funeral for the former supreme leader. Here are some of the notable attendees that are present. Key allies such as Russia and China sent delegations. Then you have Pakistan. Their prime minister went himself, who was key to brokering this ceasefire and is viewed.
Those are the three main allies: Russia, China, and Pakistan. This guy right here, he has done a hell of a job between the two, going back and forth with the messages between Iran and the U.S. and trying to get some type of deal going. I mean, Pakistan worked their asses off. You got to give it to them.
as the lead mediator. Then you have the Gulf states, Qatar and Saudi Arabia, two countries that were fired upon during the war, both saying,
bingo, there you have it. Those two were fired upon. Iran struck them quite a few times, and Saudi did strike back. They didn't just take it. So, and this has been going on since the start, but it was kept quiet.
Delegations, although Qatar has played a more outsized mediating role as well in recent weeks. But both of those countries are notably American allies. Then you have the South Caucasus. Armenia and Georgia sent their heads of state. Azerbaijan sent a lower-level delegation. But that's still interesting because the South Caucasus is a region that the United States has identified that they want to expand their sphere of influence despite their Soviet histories. And then there's who's not there. Just about all of Europe, Canada, United States. Follow for the latest.
No northern countries, of course.
Updates out of the Middle East.
The funeral processions for Ayatollah Ali Khamenei continue.
Now, I brought this piece specifically because as they came in, Iran selected a particular verse for them as they came in. Listen, those verses had meaning. A lot of meaning.
Today, as delegations from dozens of countries showed up to pay their respects. And Iran sent a very pointed message to those in attendance via Quran recitations. The verses they chose as each delegation came up, wow, they were really sending a message. This is what they had to say to the Saudi delegation. The verse was Al-Imran 3:13, describing the Battle of Badr. You know, where an outnumbered and poorly equipped Muslim force defeated a much larger army by the will of God. Some are saying this is a clear reference to Iran's victory over the U.S. and Israel, but listen to this. Indeed, there was a sign for you in the two armies that met in battle.
Let me tell you, these people are very strategic. Even, down to everything. So for them to pick out particular verses for each country when their representatives came into that funeral was strategic. Just like they played this war, very strategic.
One fighting for the cause of Allah and the other in denial. The believers saw their enemy twice their numbers, but Allah supports with his victory whomever he wills. Surely this is a lesson for people of insight. That was not a random verse to choose for the Saudi delegation, whom Iran has had frequent political disagreements with, especially considering Saudi's covert role in the war against Iran. They remained very much aligned with the US and even reportedly launched covert attacks against Iran from Saudi soil. But Saudi was not the only one who caught a rebuke. So did the government of Lebanon. If we had commanded them to sacrifice themselves or abandon their homes, none would have obeyed except for a few. Had they done what they were advised to do, it would have certainly been far better for them and more reassuring.
So remember, Lebanon, I told you guys the other day, that peace deal that they put in place that the U.S. is overseeing, they gave up everything to Israel. Everything. So they picked that verse saying, if you would have did what we told y'all to do, you would be in a way better position. And I agree. They gave up everything.
An obvious reference to the Iranian-U.S. Memorandum of Understanding, where Iran attempted to end fighting on the Lebanese front, and the Lebanese government refused their help, instead negotiating directly with Israel and normalizing relations. And finally, Iran offered words of encouragement and victory to the resistance groups, saying to Hezbollah, "Do not falter or grieve, for you will have the upper hand if you are true believers. If you have suffered injuries, they suffered similarly. We alternate these days of victory and defeat."
So they gave Hezbollah their props. Okay.
"Among people so that God may reveal the true believers. Choose martyrs from among you, and God does not like the wrongdoers." And their message to Hamas, "Among the believers are men who have proven true to what they pledged to God. Some of them have fulfilled their pledge, others are waiting their turn. They have never changed their commitment in the least." These are such incredibly pointed messages, and I am absolutely here for it.
What the ruling clerics in Iran really want to do is to send a message both of power and of national.
That part of power and unity. They brought over 100 countries together for this.
Unity to say we are still a revolutionary theocracy, the people still back that, and that's a message that they want to get across both internally and to Iran's foes overseas. Well, not only have we not seen Mojtaba, we haven't even seen a photograph of him, a video of him, or heard any voice recording from him since he was appointed Supreme Leader. And of course, in a state in which he is Supreme Leader with almost absolute authority, that's significant. Now, what we
very significant again, and he's going to get into it as far as losing credibility. They're going to have to eventually, sooner, not later, it's going to come out.
Know from sources is that he was very badly injured in the airstrike that killed his father on the first day of the war, facially disfigured. Now, that, of course, may well explain a lot of why we haven't seen him so far, but the Iranian authorities, the security services there, they may well also be very concerned about his safety. His father was killed in an airstrike, and are they really sure that the United States and Israel won't have another go?
Mojtaba Khamenei, of course, his successor and also his son, we've not seen him at all. And of course, we do know he was injured in those airstrikes that did kill his father. What do you think the message has been sent there? Why hasn't he appeared? And also, what does it signal about who's leading Iran at the moment? Because that's been big questions.
The story that some of the regime supporters are trying.
Now, he's going to break it down as far as the rumors, what's being said, and basically they're losing credibility. And eventually they're going to have to say something.
To leak here and there is that it's for security reasons that they decided not to allow him, that he wanted to attend, but he was not allowed by the security leadership for fear of being assassinated by the Israelis or the Americans. But he could have at least done a video message, a televised.
And let me say this, he was hard, like he's way more hardline than his father. He criticized his father as far as the Obama deal. He feels like they should have the right as far as the enriched uranium. They should be allowed to. Okay. So he's, when they thought that they were going to unalive the leaders and they were going to fall to them and say mercy. I don't know why the president believed Benjamin Netanyahu on that. The more you go further down the line, the more hardline they are. Okay?
Speech from whatever hideout he's at, not even a video, not even a voice recording. And this has risen a lot of suspicion inside and outside Iran about the fate of this leader. Is he, first of all, is he still alive? And if he is alive, what is his actual physical condition? Is he able to speak?
That part, because guys, remember, they came out with 2 written statements that they said came from him. From Mojtaba. It wasn't confirmed. And it was in regards to the enriched uranium and him saying, no, they can't, you know what I mean? So, I don't know.
There's a lot of stories circulating on his condition. There's nothing to verify any of these stories. Very few of the existing leaders claim to have seen him, to have met with him. Like Pezeshkian claimed that he helped treat him. He's a physician, that he took part in treating. And said that, he was about to lose a leg, and then this was denied by the other official sources in the country. So there's a lot of speculation.
No, they actually said it was just his leg. Not that he was going to lose it, but they tried to say it was just his leg. They didn't speak of the facial disfigurement or none of that. And, out loud, the Iranians denied it. They made it seem like he was okay.
And now not making an appearance during his father's funeral certainly raised a lot of suspicion inside Iran as well as outside Iran. And this will always haunt the current leadership because they will need to assert the legitimacy. They need to show at one point, and I believe it's sooner than later, that he's alive and he has given his blessing to this leadership. Otherwise, the current leadership will start losing credibility with time.
But listen, they'll lose credibility, but best believe, as complex as their little military, their system, how they do things, is complex and how many subparts to it, there'll be somebody to step up in his place if he is truly gone.
Iran is finally saying goodbye to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei more than 4 months after he was assassinated by the U.S. and by Israel, which was back on February 28th. His funeral, though, was delayed because of the war and fears that the ceremonies themselves from this past weekend through to this coming Thursday could be targeted for more attacks. This morning, Monday, the Supreme Leader's coffin moved through Tehran, the capital, and past tens of thousands of people. The bodies of 4 other members of his family also followed. That included his daughter and a granddaughter who were also killed in the same strike as him. 3 of Khamenei's sons did show up for the funeral events, but his successor and a 4th son, Mojtaba Khamenei, who we've been reporting is the new supreme leader, didn't. And as we've also...
Now that this is so final, they're going to be looking more and more and more every day for him to either resurface. They're going to have to give some more information on him.
Been reporting he's believed to have been seriously injured in the same strike that took out his family. The anger is apparent at the funeral events. One religious poet spoke to this massive crowd of people and said, "It's on us to murder Trump." And the crowd then yelled back, "Death to America." But behind the anger, there is absolutely a darker legacy that can't be glossed over. And a lot of critics of Khamenei's 4 decades in power are saying this because over that time, thousands of political prisoners and protesters were killed from the 1980s through to earlier this year in crackdowns. And the UN has linked Khamenei's time in power to crimes against humanity. But Iranian officials, they are going the other way. They're openly hoping for record crowds, and they are explicitly saying they're hoping to beat the size of the crowds that came out back in 1989 for the funeral of the last supreme leader, of Ayatollah Khamenei. The Guinness Book of World Records actually recognizes that time that over 10 million people came out. It turns out that's about a sixth of Iran's population at the time and stands as the biggest in terms of a percentage of a country's population coming out for any kind of official burial. So Iran is now in the midst of this funeral for what it hopes to be the ages.
And it's just crazy because now it's amped back up because here's the thing. The U.S. said that they're going to proceed with talks as normal. The Iranians is not going to let this go. They struck, what they say, 80 and 60 of those were boats. So they said that they would retaliate.
The Europeans owe us a lot because they had to stand up in defense of what they have been claiming to be their core values, the rule of law and international law, international humanitarian law. International humanitarian law was slaughtered during their imposed war against Iran. They massacred so many innocent Iranians. Their attack against our supreme leader's compound was a blatant war crime.
Bingo. I told you guys, they hit his compound and they are stating that that is a war crime. They are all also stating the Namab school was a war crime as well. And again, there are more things coming out in regards to that investigation.
Alongside our leader, 4 of his families were martyred. 3 women, 2 women, and 1 small girl. My message to Americans is just to try to open your eyes.
And what he's basically going to say is they tried to paint a picture that we were not proud, that we were not strong, that people did not love this leader. That's just not true.
To see Iranians as they are. Do not trust the propaganda. Do not trust many Western mainstream media that have been feeding the public opinion with wrong messages, with wrong narratives that have been the cause of catastrophic miscalculation. I think for Iranians is now transparently clear that we are all one. And the United States and Israel doesn't want Iran as a proud nation to exist. That's the most important lesson we have.
I'm going to tell you right now, as far as the Middle East, their ranking it's definitely up. And Israel is definitely isolated.
I've learned for the past 4 months, the only thing that can protect us as a nation, that can guarantee our dignity, is to stay united. And I think the fact that the people of Iran, millions of Iranians, came to the street in respect, in paying respect for the supreme leader.
This was Sarah reporting to you from Tehran.
I'm okay with lifting sanctions as long as the money doesn't go.
Now, we're getting ready to get into Benjamin Netanyahu, as we're getting ready to get into the strikes today. And we're also going to talk about Trump going to Turkey. Benjamin Netanyahu is not happy with this agreement that Trump has made.
To Iran, as long as it's so, if the money doesn't go to Iran, it makes it, makes it. I would make sure no money goes to Iran. No, absolutely no money goes
by seizing
Iran.
it.
I don't believe we should allow any oil to be sold and the money go to Iran. I did that.
Did you guys hear that? So he got his wish. Okay, he was upset with Trump's decision to lift sanctions. Well, because they hit 3 tankers, we now impose those sanctions back on Iran.
That should not happen.
How do you stop that?
Well, if it's going to be sold, the money cannot go to an Iran bank account. We got to do everything we can. Look,
and that's the problem right there. And that's why we're going to hit multiple roadblocks, because they want the U.S. to be in control of what they do with this money. That's what they want. And the Iranians, they're like, no, we're going to do what we feel is fit for our country.
They want to kill us. The Iranian government wants to kill all of us. They want nuclear weapons to destroy everybody standing here. They want to kill our kids, our families. That's what they want to do. We've got to stop it. We've got to stop, make sure they don't have ballistic missiles. We have.
Again, President Trump said, okay, if you guys can remember, he said, I can't allow this country to have ballistic missiles and this country not to. They have to have something to protect themselves. So the ballistic missiles, as far as the memorandum of understanding, there was no questions. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He said he would allow them to have them.
Have to do this. We have no choice. But with regard to if those ships can sell it, the money should not go to Iran.
If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli.
Now we're going to get into what J.D. Vance said. Benjamin Netanyahu basically dismissed what he said.
government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world.
Remember, guys, he gave that strong statement to Israel. Listen, we're all you have. The U.S. is all you guys have. You don't need to turn around and then attack us for what we're trying to do. So Fox News gave Benjamin Netanyahu some airtime. They asked him about J.D. Vance's comment. I brought it here to let y'all hear.
What was your reaction when you heard that?
First of all, I respect J.D. Vance. We have a very good relationship, but doesn't mean that I agree with everything that he says. And I have to point out this. Donald Trump is the greatest friend we ever had in the White House. And I stand by that completely.
Well, guess what, guys? President Trump is also good friends with the leader of Turkey, and he doesn't care for him at all. He doesn't like him.
Actually, we have some other friends like us.
So guess what he does? He goes off and starts talking about India and what India could do for them.
Small country called India. You know, it has 1.4 billion people. And boy,
this is him bragging.
We have a tremendous support there.
This is him bragging about India and what India could do for Israel. Why didn't you go to them and tell them that Iran had a nuclear weapon or was close to getting one? Why didn't you go to them? He's throwing it up in our face.
This Facebook thing, and I'm just flooded by the overwhelming support there, and we have many others. Let me tell you where we have support, because it's fashionable now, and in many countries, because their media.
Basically saying we don't, you know what I mean? We have other support outside of the U.S. It's what he's saying.
Their social media are inundated with anti-Israel, anti-Semitic material. Many leaders, call me up and say, hey, look, I've got this problem with public opinion, but I want you to know we respect you. And can we make some deals? And can you teach us some of the things that your military does? And can we have some of your AI
this is crazy.
Cyber expertise? Israel is the number 2 country in cyber in the world. And our technology is absurd. It's so good. The relations are not quite as they appear. And we have many, many friends. And I have to tell you.
Taken together, what?
So he's trying to clear the air as if they're not isolated. We know better than that. And he's trying to act as if that he has other outside help, than the U.S. Where are they? Where are they?
The vice president said about younger Republicans and what we're seeing with this growing radicalism on the left. Are you worried about the long-term durability of the U.S.-Israel relationship?
I worry about the trends that I see. I won't tell you that I'm not worried about it, because I think it has something to do with frankly, with the social media, with the penetration of social media that has been used and abused by countries, 3 in particular, and they've had bot farms that push the stuff against America and against Israel, and it focuses on young people.
I'll tell y'all right now, it hurt my feelings to watch this. It's just something about this guy.
And young Americans. And I can't say that I'm not worried about the effect that it has. How do you combat this? It's hard, because democratic countries don't have the ability to fight this, this bot war and with the same means. We are accountable. We're transparent.
You hear this bot war. So he's so worried about that, about social media and this bot world and stuff being said. It's just crazy.
It's not so simple. But I think you'll see a correlation between the penetration of certain social media and the decline in patriotic American feelings and support for.
So what he's basically saying is that that social media and these bots, and that's what's pushing this. No, we see it clear as day. You guys are isolated.
Okay.
It's something we have to deal with. But am I worried about it? Look, I think that our alliance is not merely based on common interests. I think it's based on common values. And as long as we stick to those, We have many, many friends.
Did you guys see how he was looking not straight ahead, not giving eye contact?
And I have to tell you, we also take care of our friends, especially the Christians in the Middle East. The Christian villages in Lebanon.
This is another story that he's telling, okay? He swears that they're begging for his protection. Let's listen.
Some of them have actually asked to be annexed to Israel because we protect them against the Hezbollah fanatics who want to kill them. And we do the same things with Christians everywhere.
He's been coming up with this crazy stuff for a long time.
Well, you're leading Christians in the Middle East. The other thing I'd like to say, because we're on the verge of the president's going to Turkey, look, Turkey is a great.
Now pay attention, because this was prior to Trump going to Turkey. So I got this clip, okay? Trump is in Turkey. All right. I want y'all to hear what he said when they said he's arrived in Turkey.
Great country, but it's governed by a man who calls openly for the annihilation of Israel. He occupies half of Cyprus, a NATO country. He's threatening Greece, another NATO country, and he talks openly about conquering Jerusalem.
He's heated. He's mad right now. You can tell he is so mad that Trump is actually going there.
Foreign minister, as number two, said that the Jewish state hasn't a place among humanity. Basically, it has to be wiped out. His interior minister, said he looks forward to be the governor of Jerusalem. Well, for a regime infected by the Muslim Brotherhood, an extreme movement that hates America and chants death to America from that side of the spectrum.
Okay, so now he's saying that they're chanting death to America as well. This man.
I don't think they should be given F-35s or the engines for their fighter jets, because that'll upset the power balance in the Middle East, which is ultimately guaranteed by Israeli air superiority and also by, I think, by America's posture in the Middle East.
So you heard what he said. That's the reason why he doesn't feel like Trump should give them anything.
Breaking news, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sat down with Fox News on Sunday morning for an interview and dropped some wild claims that are sparking major backlash. And this sit down, Netanyahu pushed back on any idea of a rift with Trump, saying that they agree on 99% of the time and handle disagreements privately. He defended ongoing operations, rejected accusations of permanent war, and claimed some Christian villages in southern Lebanon have actually asked Israel to annex them and give residents Israeli citizenship because Israel protects them from Hezbollah, along with some Sunnis and Shiites wanting the same. He also brushed off concerns about losing allies, pointing to massive public support in India as proof Israel has friends beyond the U.S., while warning that anti-Israel sentiment in the Democratic Party and on the woke right will lead people to hate America too. Supporters of Israel wave both flags, he said, tying criticism of Israel directly to being anti-American. This guy talks nothing but BS. One minute he's all in with the U.S., waving our flag next to theirs, and the next he's bragging about running to India.
Y'all heard him. Y'all heard him. He said it clear as day. We got other friends. We got India. I don't know how Trump let this man talk him into this mess.
4 billion people flooding him with support, ready to pivot whenever American public opinion turns sour. That's how fast he'll turn on us when it suits him. He loves conflating any hate for Israel's endless occupation and bombing campaigns with hating America. But let's be crystal clear. I hate Israel for what it's doing, the genocide, the land grabs, the lies, and I hate that our government protects this genocidal country at all costs, pouring in billions while Americans struggle. That's the only hate I'll ever have toward the USA, because our leaders sold us out to a foreign power instead of putting America first.
That part, Mitch, he's a devil just like his best friend. That part.
Then he wants to lie straight-faced and say Christian villages in Lebanon are begging to be annexed by Israel. Trust me, they don't want your protection. They just want your country and your military off their land, out of their villages, and stop from bombing their homes.
That was part of the MOU that was never done. Full withdrawal. Remember, guys? Full withdrawal.
And churches. And don't get me started on the hypocrisy. He says he's not looking for permanent war. But it was just last month he was vowing Israeli forces would stay in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria for as long as necessary or without any time limit, directing takeovers of huge chunks of territory. Actions speak louder than words. This is endless expansions dressed up as self-defense. America, stop letting this guy drag us into his forever wars and division. We don't need more of it.
And we're caught up now. How are we going to get out of this? Now, pay attention. This is the ambassador of Israel.
It's not an easy time. Let me
talking about the same thing as Bibi, as far as the allegations that genocide, about what's out there.
Say that it's not an easy time to be constantly accused. Let me just say this one thing and be very personal. If we were guilty of the things that we are accused of, my son would be alive today. And hundreds of other soldiers would be alive today. Because we don't strafe bomb population centers from above, and we don't starve population centers. And we don't commit genocide. And that big, bold blood libel, of which the members of the elite media have participated in, one day will have to.
The media, they love blaming the media.
Stand in front of their God, whoever it may be, and say, what we did was nothing short of the accusations of the Middle Ages about Jews using Christian blood for their matzahs and poisoning wells and spreading disease. Nothing short of that. Just one big, bold blood libel. And the like or dislike for a particular minister in the government who may have acted completely, who acted irresponsibly, not may or may have not acted, who act irresponsibly, has absolutely nothing to do with the truth, with the veracity of what I'm saying. We're facing a modern blood libel, and we have to contend with it. We'll contend with it, and we'll come out of it stronger than before. I'm quite convinced of that.
Hey, this is breaking news.
You guys heard it.
Hamas just announced that they have dissolved their governing body inside of Gaza, although Israel says they believe this is a trick and that they still need Hamas to disarm. This will be something key to.
All right, guys, I brought this piece specifically, and I do have a piece coming up after the right after this that's going to explain and give you the breakdown. And the reason why I brought this is because we talked about the peace deal that the U.S. is seeing over with Israel and Lebanon. And remember, the Lebanese president was upset. He didn't want Iran to use them as a bargaining chip. They basically gave up everything. They don't even have the right to go back and sue for any type of war crimes. They gave up land. They gave up a lot. So let's listen to this piece. I don't want to get too technical or get off of the U.S. and Iran. However, this is a small fraction of what's going on, because guess who oversees that agreement? Us. The U.S.
Watch in the coming days and weeks. Follow for the latest breaking news updates out of the Middle East.
Today, Hamas announced that it's disbanding its government body in Gaza in favor of the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. This is the technocratic government that was established to run the Gaza Strip after the war. Now, while this may seem significant, this really is part of what Hamas wants. It wants the world to think that, it's ceding power. And at the same time, for its own purposes, it's retaining the power that it wants. Let's rewind. 2005, the IDF pulls out of Gaza, hands the keys over to the Palestinian Authority. A year later, the Palestinian Authority is overthrown by Hamas. And now, not only does Hamas have power, the power that it wants, but it also has to run the civil administration of the Gaza Strip.
And remember, they don't want that power as far as running the strip. And they do a lot of minor things, administrative things, that they simply don't want that part of it. Okay? So let's listen.
Civil services for the citizens, take out the trash, and so on. They really don't want to do this, but it comes with the power, it comes with the territory, and that's what they do for the next 20 years. after the war is over, they have this idea that, hey, we can go back to doing what we do best, and that is focusing on terrorism, our military, and we could let some other body handle the civil stuff that we don't really want to deal with. They look to the Lebanon model, the model that Hezbollah had enjoyed for decades in southern Lebanon, where Hezbollah was the major military force focused on attacking Israel, whereas the Lebanese government focused on the civilian administration of Lebanon.
Their government to be set up just like that. Just like that.
That's what Hamas wants in Gaza. It wants some other body to be in charge of the civil administration of the Gaza Strip while they focus on their military objectives. This obviously is unacceptable to Israel, right? Hamas is refusing to disarm. One of the conditions that it needs to meet in order to live up to its obligations under the terms of the ceasefire, and Israel is not going to agree to move forward so long as Hamas retains its arms. Israel is not going to cede any more territory to Hamas, for sure not, under the current circumstances, so long as Hamas doesn't disarm, or at least not cede anything to Palestinians, so long as Hamas is still a force to be reckoned with.
When you say this is a game to them, you mean Israel?
A military force to be reckoned with. So Hamas is doing this, as far as they're concerned, this is two birds with one stone. They get to make it seem as if they're making concessions and allowing this new committee to come in and administer the Gaza Strip. And at the same time, they get to focus on what they want to focus, and that is their terrorist objectives, whereas Israel is not going to accept that. And the hope is that Israel will be able to press upon everybody, all the interested parties here, that Hamas is not living up to its obligations, even if it is ceding administrative power, so long as it doesn't cede military power. Stay tuned for more updates and see this.
This will be a roadblock eventually. Mark my words and remember the day that I said this. This will become a roadblock. A small one that'll probably lead to a bigger one. That peace deal it's not going to work.
For more details.
Hamas has officially made moves to dissolve its governing body in Gaza in order to allow a Palestinian technocratic committee established by Trump's Board of Peace to take its place. The move serves as a measure of the U.S. brokered ceasefire deal intended to shift.
So you guys see why I brought this piece here. Because guess who's all we're in a little bit of everything. Everything.
Gaza's civil administration following the genocide. Israel, however, described the move as symbolic and as such has blocked the technocratic.
And what has my mind so boggled is because prior to them signing the memorandum of understanding, the bottom line, it was clean and it was just, they had to go. They had to go. Now we have this sad deal that we're overseeing with all these stipulations where the Lebanese people are just giving up everything. This is a mess, but okay.
Committee from entering Gaza over its ties to the Palestinian Authority, the governance of the West Bank. Gaza's government announced on July 6th the resignation of its emergency committee to oversee the besieged strip to demonstrate its seriousness and commitment to honoring the ceasefire by handing over authority to a U.S.-endorsed technocratic committee. Hamas spokesman Hazem Qassem said Hamas has taken a new step in that it will no longer be in charge of the Gaza Strip.
But again, moving forward, I'm not going to talk about this. I don't want to get into the details. I just want to stay surface level. But believe me, this is going to become a problem. We have so many roadblocks that we will not see an agreement for a long time.
Order to remove any pretext for the occupation, which continues its aggression and war of extermination. The governing body, which had been democratically elected in 2005, said in a statement that all civil servants shall continue their work, calling them public employees who are ready to work under the responsibility of the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. They said the resignation of Gaza's Government Emergency Committee was a positive step that reflects a serious commitment to reorganizing the Palestinian internal front and transferring administration to the NCAG. Israel still has yet to allow the NCAG to enter Gaza, though. In fact, Hebrew media has said since January that Tel Aviv refused to allow the committee to enter Gaza to begin its work as prescribed in the October 2025 deal. The Palestinian Technocratic Committee, however, says that it is fully ready to govern Gaza, with the head of the committee, Ali Sheikh, saying, "We affirm that the National Committee for the Administration of..."
Okay, so they're ready and Israel won't let them in.
Gaza is fully prepared to assume its national responsibilities as soon as the necessary resources and capabilities are available. Israel's refusal of the committee could be signaling their readiness to renew military operations in the parts of Gaza that are not currently occupied by Israeli forces.
Y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Military operations.
According to Hebrew sources, Israel's Channel 12 reported that Israel allegedly expects the U.S. Board of Peace to issue a determination within the next few months, claiming that Hamas has violated the ceasefire agreement by refusing to disarm.
Again, and we talked about Benjamin Netanyahu. He will make up any excuse to start bombing again and seizing more territory.
Yet another deception to continue genocide, while the resistance has proven time and time again its readiness to abide by the ceasefire deal.
Hey, this is breaking news.
At the end of the day, he doesn't want any deal to go through.
Overnight, 2 ships were attacked in the Strait of Hormuz. This is one of the incident reports for one of those ships.
All right, guys, we're in mid-afternoon today. You guys know how I do it. I start from the previous 24 hours and work my way up in real time. Again, Iran attacked a total of 3. They hit 2 earlier, and then there was another one later on.
Historically speaking, incidents such as these have led to a direct military response.
And according to Iran, they did not coordinate with them. And guess what? One of those ships was Saudi Arabia.
From the United States. Now the whole region is waiting to see what comes next. Follow for the latest breaking news updates out of the Middle East. Hey, this is an update to our last report. We've now had 3 attack incidents in the Strait of Hormuz in the last 24 hours. One of them was a Qatari LNG tanker, and the Qatari Foreign Ministry just slammed Iran for the attack. We're waiting to see if the United States military responds directly. Follow for the latest breaking news.
So a total of 3, guys. And yeah, we did respawn, and we responded hard.
Updates out of the Middle East.
That's the actual boat, one of the tankers. All right, U.S. revoking Iranian oil sanction relief after 3 tankers attacked in the Straits of Hormuz. They made the announcement. It just basically say after Iran attacked 3 tankers in the Straits of Hormuz, including one in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, the United States is revoking a general license that was issued on June 21st, which authorized the sale of Iranian oil and petrochemical products. So the sanctions are back on because we're saying that they violated the MOU, which we went through this last week. Who's running the straits? In the MOU, it says that the Iranians they have full control. So another roadblock. Until they get this straight, they can't even move on to the enriched uranium or anything else.
the U.S. Treasury Department is revoking the general license that allowed for the sale of Iranian oil. Now, essentially, they're allowing for a 10-day wind-down period, but will be blocking any new transactions or any new sales of Iranian oil. And this comes just after 3 tankers were hit in the Strait of Hormuz earlier today. Qatar and Saudi Arabia, which had tankers hit, pointing the finger at Iran for those attacks. As for why the Trump administration...
What, 2 weeks ago? This is how it started 2 weeks ago. It's the same dance.
Now is taking this step. A U.S. official tells me this. They say, as President Trump and the administration have repeatedly affirmed, the MOU in effect with Iran is entirely performance-based. Iran will only reap benefits if they exhibit good behavior. Iran's actions in the Strait were wholly unacceptable to the United States and will be met with consequences. Our negotiators continue to work in good faith towards a final deal. So, Scott, negotiations continuing, as you can see at the end there. But this was one of the most tangible effects or outcomes of that memorandum of understanding signed just a couple of weeks ago between the U.S. and Iran, the lifting of these sanctions to allow for oil. Now that's being undone because of these actions we've seen in the Strait.
I'm telling you guys, don't be surprised. Iran is going to strike back. They did the last time. They hit, 3 or 4 more U.S. bases.
War is once again erupting between the United States.
Now we're going to get into the I cannot pronounce that, Namab school.
In Iran this evening, as we're learning, new bombshell investigations reveal that U.S. commanders bypassed warnings on intelligence on potential targets in Iran, intelligence that was so severely out of date and yet approved it anyway. Strikes that included on the all-girls school in Manab, Iran.
Remember, this intelligence has something to do with Elon Musk. Remember I told you guys about that company? That's why they were threatening to hit anything over there owned by Elon Musk. It was some type of AI. They used AI.
That has killed nearly 200 children. This afternoon, the United States has begun striking Iran again. U.S. Central Command says these strikes are in response to Iran targeting various commercial ships in and around the Strait of Hormuz. But that's not all. The United States also reimposed sanctions on Iranian oil today. And it comes as CNN has revealed that U.S. commanders are using or have been using outdated intelligence to conduct strikes. One of the strikes ended up hitting an all-girls school in southern Iran, killing nearly 200 kids. And so here we are. I'll have more updates for you.
Look, guys, this shit is going to come back to bite us in our ass with this school. And we know this. They tried to hide it. They tried to blame it on Iran. Iran didn't even have those type of missiles. Then they said they were investigating it. The time has come. It's about to come out. It's about to come out. 2 weeks ago, we found out it was, old intelligence or outdated intelligence, and it was AI, and it had something to do with Elon Musk company. It's more and more about to come out about this.
It's like war is back, at least for now. Spread the word. Follow along, stay updated on all the news you need to know about. I'll have more updates for you soon.
Forces have begun launching U.S. forces a series of what CENTCOM is describing as powerful strikes against Iran to impose, quote, heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial shipping, crude by innocent civilians.
So we have got caught up in another forever war. I'm telling you guys, this is not going to end no time soon.
An international waterway. CENTCOM goes on to say in this post on X, the U.S. strikes are in response to Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's demonstrated aggression was unwarranted, dangerous, and a clear violation of the ceasefire. Of course, we've seen CENTCOM, Joe, respond to similar instances in which there have been Iranian attacks on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. And once again,
so this is the second time Iran has done this in the past 3 weeks. And it has to do with this MOU that was too broad. They should have put specifics in there, because if you read it, it does read as if Iran controls it. This MOU got us in more trouble than ever.
And U.S. forces are responding, and it very much calls into question the durability of the ceasefire that the U.S. military says has been
That's violated. For sure. We were just talking about it with the general here. It was 60 days of a ceasefire, and it's one that has been punctuated by repeated attacks between the United States and Iran. This may be among the more concerted responses that we have seen, though, from the U.S., as opposed to simply going after one ship or one engine room. It's been very proportional so far. The United States is clearly interested in making a point. We saw the reaction in oil prices today to that waiver being lifted, Kayleigh. This could be another leg up for crude.
This is breaking news. U.S. forces are currently conducting airstrikes against southwestern Iran.
President Trump is going to put something together for the markets, and he'll announce something to take the prices back down again, and then Iran will deny it, and something will happen, and the prices will go back up again. This will be the norm. Okay, because now that they've closed the straits and they played that card and it's been so effective globally, they're going to continue to do it till they can't do it anymore. Don't be surprised if the straits is closed tomorrow.
In response to the IRGC targeting 3 vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. Central Command forces, according to CENTCOM, have begun launching a series of powerful strikes against Iran to impose heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial vessels crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway. A statement released by CENTCOM goes on to say the U.S. strikes are in response to Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz. We'll have more updates on this story to follow, and it does come after the U.S. revoked the oil sales license for the Iranians to sell their oil.
It's everybody is saying you violated. The U.S. is saying Iran violated. Iran is saying the U.S. violated. It's just a back and forth mess. These are the actual strikes the U.S. did. I think it was southern Iran, the south.
یا ابوالفضل بندر عباس یا ابوالفضل دوباره جنگ شروع شد. وای وای
Ain't no way I would be filming this.
The US military has once again launched a series of strikes against Iran. That, according to US Central Command in a post on social media.
Guys, we got about another 20 minutes. Don't forget, we got to get into Turkey. And, Benjamin Netanyahu being very upset.
They say strikes were in response to what they claim were Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. So the latest breakdown of the ceasefire that is supposed to be in place between the United States and Iran.
Breaking news. President Trump just announced the U.S. is removing sanctions on Turkey, and he's going to be also selling them.
So you heard it. He's removing sanctions, and he's also going to sell Turkey F-35 jets. Benjamin Netanyahu is not happy, but let's go.
Advanced F-35 fighter jets. Trump has said today that he has a personal friendship with Turkish President Erdogan and says Turkey has been more loyal.
Y'all heard what Benjamin Netanyahu said earlier in this live stream about Turkey and how he has Indian friends. India is his friends, his ally.
And many other countries. By the way, Turkey is a NATO member and will pay for these jets by itself, not like Israel. And speaking of Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu went on CNN with Dana Bash this morning and pushed back hard on this. He said even with Trump's friendship with Erdogan, Turkey is not a friendly state, especially to the U.S. Netanyahu warned that Erdogan threatens to destroy Israel and that selling F-35s to Turkey would destroy the power.
Listen, Trump said Turkey did more than NATO, and the others weren't so kind. He needed their help. They didn't come through. They said after the war, he started bashing them again. But we'll get into that.
Balance in the Middle East. But what he really means is it would hurt Israel's air superiority over the region. And at the same time, Mark Levin is posting post after post against the deal. He calls Erdogan a national socialist Islamist dictator who backs the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas. Then Levin says Erdogan threatens Greece, works with Putin and Iran, and we should never sell him our best jets. Levin.
Oh, guess what, guys? We talked about Ukraine asking us for help. Well, President Trump made a call on Putin. Putin ended up striking Ukraine again. And a reporter asked him, why Putin does not feel the pressure by you to end this. President Trump, real nonchalant, claimed that they're going to get it together. Ukraine is begging for our help.
Has been nonstop on this, along with Laura Loomer and a bunch of other Israeli first influencers all over X. But this is the same old story. Netanyahu always ties everything back to Israel and makes it America's problem too. He says Turkey threatens my country, while he turns into hate for America if you disagree. He conflates hate of Israel with hate of America. And look at the CNN anchor interviewing him. Last week, she was interviewing Senate candidate Abdul Al-Sayed, asking him if Israel has a right to exist. And when he didn't answer the question the way she wanted, she pushed back nonstop. Does she push back Netanyahu? Not at all. She just lets him tell America what to do. Mark Levin writes post after post like he got the call from Israel. Before it was all Iran, now it's Turkey. Turkey has influence in the region, including near Lebanon. These guys act like only Israel should have real power there. Trump is trying to make deals that put America first. Turkey pays for the planes. Israel gets billions in free American aid every year.
That part. Okay, so Turkey's paying for their own planes. But here we go, Israel. Now remember, guys, he said within 10 years, they will not have to rely on us. I can't tell, but let's hear it.
Netanyahu and Levin want to keep Israel on top no matter what. They don't care about American interests first. They care about Israel's. They just want to keep the power in the region. They're so threatened of another state having more power than them. And that's all they really care about. It's the same pattern over and over.
Are you going to sell F-35s to Turkey, and what about the legal restrictions?
Well, it's a decision we're going to make. We have a very good relationship. I would think that many people, I can tell you, many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey's been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal. So, yeah, it's something certainly we would consider. It's a great plane. It's the best current.
So you guys hear Trump saying why he's going to go, he's thinking about it. At the end of the day, he did do it. He did it.
The best plane by far. And it's certainly something we will consider, yeah.
President Trump is in Turkey right now. He said this morning he will consider selling F-35 fighter jets to Turkey, which is a reversal of a ban he put in place. You said yesterday that would, quote, upset the power balance in the Middle East. Have you made that clear to President Trump?
Yes, I have actually spoke to him several times about it. And I think that everybody understands that.
He's so mad right now, and I love it. I love it. EJ said helping Ukraine is a bottomless pit. You think so?
Notwithstanding the personal friendship that President Trump has with Erdogan, it doesn't make Turkey a friendly or a friendly state to the United States. To the contrary, it's a regime that's infected with the Muslim Brotherhood, which.
So he's basically saying, so what, you're friends with this guy? He didn't do that to you, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Hates the United States. He harbors Hamas, the Hamas terrorists. He supports them. He finances them. He's thrown his opponents in jail, all of them. He throws more journalists in jail than anyone can understand. So he's not exactly a model ally of the United States. But even worse than that, he threatens Greece.
I'm kind of happy that this is happening because now President Trump gets to see who he really is. Who he really is. So now he's literally spewing, things to try to make it, Trump believe that Turkey doesn't like the U.S. at all.
He's a NATO ally. He occupies half of Cyprus, another NATO country. And the most important thing, and I put it right on the table, He threatens to destroy my country, the one and only Jewish state.
The president said this morning that they are great friends, and not just the two of them, the countries of the United States and Turkey, and that Turkey is perhaps a better ally than other so-called allies. So he is considering giving the country these planes.
Look at his smirk. He's boiling mad.
F-35s.
Well, as I said, it would destroy the power balance in the Middle East because Turkey, I think, has...
He said destroy the power balance in the Middle East. So that's all he's concerned with. That's it. That's all.
Aggressive aspirations. I mean, they openly say that. They want to restore the Ottoman Empire. This is not a force for peace and stability. And if you give... this kind of radical regime that admittedly smiles to America when it is necessary, or smiles to the president of the United States when it's necessary. When you give them that power, you're going to see aggression in its wake. I wouldn't do that.
But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran.
So here he go. He getting ready to call out NATO for not helping with Iran. He is never going to let this go, but let's go.
We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO.
That's not the point. They played their position. That is not, their position is not offense, man.
Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us, and they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister...
Listen, they did say that they would help. Nobody wanted to get tied up, wrapped up in this war. They did. This is a war of choice. I don't care what anybody says. This was truly a war of choice. So they had to think about their country, their people. They didn't want to get tied up into this. However, they did offer to help clear the mines and things like that. He got to get over this. You said we're going to get into Russia. I believe that too. But according to Trump, Putin, he got the inside deal with Putin. He could get him to stop.
Guess he's no longer there. Maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help. We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I'd long said that.
Listen, we all seen what happened when he did Operation Freedom and a couple of other things. We did need the help. It's okay.
That we helped them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down. And it's okay. But, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
The point is this: I just liked him, man.
Here he goes. Remember, he was just here about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. This guy. He know how to kiss butt.
I think what he is doing for NATO is great news.
That is NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte talking about President Donald Trump here in Ankara at the NATO summit. I sat down with him. We were the first interview that he had heading into this high-stakes summit. And throughout the interview, he not only defended President Donald Trump's policies that have caused some consternation with the European allies, but endorsed the president's foreign policy. He said President Trump was right to get European militaries to step up, to get European nations to increase their spending. He was right to take on Iran. Now, Rutte has become one of the president's closest allies on the world stage. And yeah, that's caused a little bit of trouble with some of the NATO allies. You have a very good relationship with President Trump. You've been credited as sort of being the Trump whisperer.
Starmer had one too, but the bromance finally ended with those two.
half of this alliance. Rutte brushes off the label of Trump whisperer, but the tension beneath it is real as allies have watched President Trump threaten sanctions, question Article 5, and call out countries by name that he thinks are not paying up or not doing enough for the United States.
These are 32 professional leaders. This is about defending.
And they're politicians.
Yes, of course they're politicians, but they're professional politicians. And as always between professionals, one likes the other more than the other. There will always be some tension. But in the end, this alliance always comes together. That's the strength of NATO.
Now, whether that's all enough to hold the alliance together and keep these commitments in place long after President Trump leaves office is the question
that part, and that's where my concern is. As far as our allies, it's going to take a long time for us to mend fences and possibly move forward. I don't think any of them will forget the bashing, the trashing, the bullying, none of it.
NATO will have to answer over the next decade.
Breaking news now from the Middle East. The U.S. military striking back on Iran tonight in retaliation for Iran's recent attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz. This as world leaders gather for that annual summit of NATO leaders, which this year is in Turkey, an ally and yet a complicated one with Russia and Hamas. Senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe is in the capital, Ankara, with more this evening. Ed, good evening.
Tony, good evening. President Trump started his trip here by praising the autocratic leader and host, Turkish President Erdogan, and then criticizing European allies for not helping with the early stages of the U.S. war with Iran, which saw yet another violent flare-up tonight. On the new Air Force...
I just brought a roundup. We're going to get into a little bit. I'm going to talk about Trump's health. People are worried. They feel like his health is declining. And then the last piece that I brought, remember the white supremacy group that marched on the 4th of July? I got some details on them, boys.
One's maiden voyage overseas, President Trump flew into a summit facing turbulence on multiple fronts. The fragile ceasefire with Iran was violated, according to the administration, when the regime's Revolutionary Guard Corps attacked at least 3 tankers in the Strait of Hormuz in the last 24 hours. In response, the U.S. launched what they called a series of powerful strikes against Iran. The president also revoked a waiver allowing Iran to sell billions of dollars worth of oil. A concession made in the deal reached several weeks ago.
It's not even it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization.
He got to call it that, guys. He's been calling, the last one was a little cleanup.
It's really what it is of Iran.
And then there's Ukraine. Facing intensified Russian attacks on Kyiv and other cities, even as it keeps pushing Russia back on the ground and striking inside Russia with long-range drones. Despite the intense fighting, the president has spoken recently with Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky, saying the two are close to a deal.
Y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. He said the two are close to a deal. I know Ukraine said that he had been waiting on Witkoff and Kushner, and they're taking too long. So
I think they both want to make a deal. It's too bad it took so long, but I think there's going to be something's going to come out.
But he's said this before, and little progress has been made.
President Putin would like to make a deal. He would like to see the war ended, and I believe Vladimir Putin wants to see it ended.
Remember, he said he ended several wars. President Trump said that.
The president today appeared to commit to giving Turkey access back to American F-35 jets, despite a law he signed during his first term blocking such access because Turkey also buys military equipment from Russia. Erdogan said Trump promised him 5 jets. The White House wouldn't confirm the number or any commitment. Tony?
Ed, thank you.
So he's another bullshit artist.
But Trump has also been a chaotic and vengeful president.
Hello, everyone.
Who has spent much of this second term seeking retribution against those who...
A regime change. If you guys have not ordered that book, I suggest you do. It is on my to-do list. I'm getting it. They know everything.
Challenged him during his first administration, shamelessly quashing dissent. Is this an administration run through fear?
Well, there's aspects of it for sure. I mean, one of Trump's
campaign advisors, is on the record saying, is it we want to basically rule with an iron fist, or what does it say?
Are we allowed to curse openly?
Oh, yeah.
Program?
Whatever, just do it.
He says, I think I have the quote correctly, was they want to make clear that if you step out of line, you get your fucking head kicked in.
That's right.
So
Y'all heard it. And you know what, guys? They found out a lot of information, past employees that worked up under the administration. Yeah, it's getting ugly. Even what's going on with Patel, it's starting to come out.
On the inside, you have him being willing to use the levers of government to go after people who he perceives as enemies, including, this campaign of retribution against people who prosecuted him, instigated him, which we have.
And we know the DOJ, Todd Blanche, a number of people, Comey, a number of people.
Lots of material on in the book, but he also uses lawsuits that he files as a private citizen. Trump has reveled in going after the comedians in particular, very aggressively has gone after particularly ABC News. He has gone after The View, which is a talk show.
Listen, the other night he was on True Social. Everybody had Trump deranged syndrome, and I showed you guys that video that he made, that AI video.
He went after Jimmy Kimmel for, a portion of what Jimmy Kimmel said.
He would love nothing more than to shut down the New York Times. He's made that very clear. We work for the New York Times. He's called it treasonous and traitorous, and Trump doesn't like dissent.
We don't want communists in our country.
Now, this is part of his speech from the 4th of July. And it's all the Democrats' fault.
In his 4th of July speech on the National Mall, President Trump mentioned communists at least half a dozen times.
Our warriors did not fight communism on battlefields across the world, only to have that menace rear its ugly head right back here in America.
He struck a similar note at Mount Rushmore the night before.
The Communist Party is made up of illegal immigrants, criminals, and everybody that doesn't want to work.
Listen to this, guys. I cracked up.
There are no self-identifying communists serving in higher office in the U.S.
No self-identifying communists serving in higher office in the U.S. But that's who he's blaming. Let's go.
Trump was likely referring to the handful of Democratic socialists who have won recent primaries in New York, D.C., and Colorado.
We will not wait to abolish ICE.
The strategy shines a spotlight on an internal fight over the direction of the Democratic Party.
The politics of the past ends today.
Establishment Democrats worry that socialist candidates may be popular on the left, but could turn off general election voters. However, a new poll finds 32% of U.S. adults actually view socialism favorably now, which helps explain the recent spate of socialist wins in big cities.
Vladimir Putin, shortly after speaking to you on July 4th.
Now, this is what he had to say as far as Putin and what he claims is going to happen.
He even killed innocent civilians. Why isn't he feeling any pressure after speaking with you?
Well, I think he does feel pressure. He wants to end it, and Ukraine wants to end it, and we're in talks, and we'll see if we can get it ended. It's a terrible thing. I ended 8 wars, and...
He ended 8 wars. Boy.
This was, in my opinion, going to be an easier one because I know both heads. I didn't know most of the heads. I did India, I did Pakistan, I did others. That could have been a real bad one. Nuclear. That was going to be nuclear. Could have been, as the Prime Minister of Pakistan, could have been 40 million people would have been killed, maybe 50 million.
Y'all see that guy behind him laughing?
They'd shot down 11 planes. It was raging for 4 days, and I got it stopped. And I did that, but this is one that I think we're getting much closer than people realize. And
he's laughing.
President Putin wants it to end. I will tell you that very strongly. What a good call. And President Zelensky actually wants it to end now.
I hope that it does. This is terrible.
And we're going to be going to NATO, and we're going to be talking about it. And I think we're going to get it I think we're going to get it ended. It's been a terrible situation. Think of this. 25,000 people, 2 months ago, 25,000 people were killed, 1 month soldiers.
Wow.
Last month set the record. 36,000 people were killed in 1 month. Young soldiers, they go off to war and
Listen, this is what I'm hoping will not happen with what's going on with this war. Again, we have multiple roadblocks. We still have to get what's going on with the Strait squared away. Now they're not getting, they're not able to sell oil. So the sanctions have been imposed back onto them. It seems as if we're never going to get to the nuclear dust, the actual inspections, and this war is going to, I believe it's going to reignite, but it's going to be a long time before it's over. We can't even get to the small things.
Before the first weekends. It's drone technology. Michael, who would have thought that drones would have become such a factor? And they're killing machines. It's amazing. It's amazing. You hide behind a tree and it goes and gets you. And I've seen scenes that I don't want to see. I don't want you to see them on that battlefield. You hear about the Civil War. You hear about all of these different terrible wars, but this is really horrible. So I had a very good call, and I think we're getting close to getting it done.
Russia launched attacks on Kyiv overnight that killed more than a dozen people. It comes right before the NATO summit and right after President Trump spoke to Vladimir Putin.
That part, right after Trump called him.
For 90 minutes. So I asked the president, why isn't Putin feeling any pressure from you?
Mr. President, Vladimir Putin, shortly after speaking to you on July 4th, struck Kyiv and killed innocent civilians. Why isn't he feeling any pressure after speaking with you?
Well, I think he does feel pressure. He wants to end it, and Ukraine wants to end it, and we're in talks, and we'll see if we can get it ended. I think we're getting much closer than people realize, and President Putin wants it to end. I will tell you that very strongly. What a good call. And President Zelensky.
I can't tell. He keeps bombing and bombing and bombing.
He actually wants it to end now.
Here's the thing. What can we actually do for Ukraine? We're so tied up. We don't have anything to give as far as munitions.
And we're going to be going to NATO, and we're going to be talking about it. And I think we're going to get it. I think we're going to get it ended.
So Trump clearly thinks that Putin is still feeling the pressure, but our European allies fear that Trump may force an end to this war in a way that favors Russia. Zelensky and Trump will be sitting down together at the...
Now, that would be insane if it favors Russia. That would be quite disappointing.
NATO summit. Zelensky is going to be asking for more support from his allies. Now, notably, none of the 23 ballistic missiles that Russia fired into Ukraine were intercepted by Ukraine. Zelensky is expected to ask for more interceptor missiles.
Bingo. And that's the clip that I showed you guys 2 days ago when he said he was still waiting on Witkoff and Kushner. And he said, you know what? They're moving too slow. We need them now. So the pressure is on us, and I hope President Trump can basically get them to talk to end this. If he don't, we're going to be pressured to help them. How can we help them when we're in the midst of this war with Iran? I don't know. And then we did help Ukraine out somewhat as far as intelligence, but look at what happened with the bombing at the school. And as far as things not being legitimate.
Major mental lapses and cognitive slip-ups.
All right, we're going to get into Trump's health. It just seems to be declining.
Is the only way Trump can be described today. Listen to this shit.
I just got I'm number one. Like Taylor Swift was number 11. I'm number one in TikTok by far.
This motherfucker isn't even in the top 50. That is completely false, a lie. Now, he either didn't know that or he's willingly lying about it to the American people. But yeah, he's not even in the top 10 or the top 50. He also did one of the worst cognitive slips I think anyone has seen.
I said, so you own the New York Stock Exchange? He said, yeah. I said, what else? He said he owns numerous exchanges, and I was very proud to see them together today with NASDAQ. But Jeff is great, and he's married to a person who's doing a phenomenal job at the SBA, small business. Nicki Minaj, who's so incredible. They call it small.
So he said, I don't know what's going on with Trump. I don't.
Small business, Nikki, but when you add it up, it's bigger than any bank probably in the world, right? I don't know. It's Larry. It's right up there. Small. It's not small business, but she's done fantastically, and I appreciate it.
How the fuck do you confuse Kelly Loeffler, the SBA administrator, with Nicki Minaj? Someone please explain this. This is beyond a cognitive slip. Like, he truly believed he was talking about the right person. What is going on with this president? He is seriously unwell. Serious questions about his health and cognitive ability.
I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't think whatever's going on with him, he won't be able to hide it too much longer.
And at this point, he is a national security.
Because the way that he was walking when he got off the plane, when he touched down in Turkey, he looked confused. He was walking back. It was, and I'm going to show you guys.
Pretty risk to the United States of America, and Congress or his cabinet really needs to step in at this point. Let me know if you guys agree. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow along for more, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
The decline of Trump continues to present itself today. It is in Turkey with President Erdogan. Trump was walking off the airplane with President Erdogan, unsteady, turns, confused, lost, and then Erdogan grabs his arm and points him to where he's supposed to go, holding him along the way to the microphone.
Yeah, this right here definitely was disturbing.
Trump finds it, says something to the Turkish soldiers, and then Erdogan claps and they move on. Guys, this is remarkable. Trump clearly appears confused, unsure of where he's supposed to go, not walking steadily, and needed Erdogan to hold him along the way as he walked. Then he did this. Here he is, slumped over, listening to a translator. Looks like he's struggling to...
Listen, I went over this. The reason why he doesn't get sleep is because he's on Truth Social, posting consistently. I think he did over 70 posts Monday night, Sunday night.
Stay awake, struggling to keep his eyes open. Clearly looks tired. And we're not sure if he's actually retaining the information he's being given at this point. Photographers also captured images of his hands with the makeup back on it, covering the bruise, but the bruise is so significant it's starting to appear through the makeup. Guys, serious health concerns over this president. They continues, and speculation about his health continues to grow, and people want to know what's going on with this president. Let me know if you do. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow along for more.
All right, guys. This is it. This is the last part, and I got to apologize. I was late, about 20 minutes late to this live stream. I do apologize. I was waiting for my video to upload, but I did find a piece on this white supremacy group that marched on the 4th of July. A bunch of nobodies.
And I'll see you back here for the 411.
By now, many of you have no doubt seen this shocking, stark image taken on the 4th of July in Washington, D.C. on the Metro from Reuters. It's the picture of...
Shouts out to this young lady that was on this train. Yeah.
A young girl sitting alone and brave, a young black girl surrounded by all of these white masked men, too afraid to show their faces in public. These are members of a group that calls itself the Patriot Front, though they are obviously not patriots in terms.
Some of them was actually living at home with their mothers with criminal records. But let's go.
Of their bigotry, and it's hard to call a group that won't show their front a front of any sense. So let's just call them the PFEs. I'll tell you about the PFEs. After the disastrous, murderous Charlottesville Unite the Right rally in 2017, the PFEs split from a different hate group, the white nationalist group called Vanguard America. Vanguard America apparently was too Nazi adjacent, and the PFEs wanted to be more cloaked in American patriotism. Since almost all of them hide their faces, here is what we know about them. According to extremism experts, they are headed up by this one guy, Thomas Rousseau. He's 27. He does show his face in public. He has been
Headed by this 27-year-old.
accused through the years of being part of a group that vandalized a statue of tennis legend Arthur Ashe, part of a group that was arrested for plotting to disrupt a gay pride parade in Idaho. It's basic bigoted punk loser behavior. And honestly, that's the whole vibe when you dive deeper and learn more about who these guys are. Sad young white guys with little going on in their lives who seem to blame everyone else, the Jews, the blacks, the gays, whatever, for their sad situations. We learned their identities when, on occasion, they run afoul of the law. Jacob Zack, for example, was 19, living at home in Illinois when he was arrested for gun charges. Joffrey Cross was 33, arrested in Houston on
This is their background. This is their background.
gun charges. A former Army private, he did 5 years in prison for distributing controlled substances. The New Yorker magazine, a couple years ago, did a deep dive on the PFEs, and it kind of was summed up by this one passage. Quote, a Nazi Watch website reported that a Seattle area Patriot Front member was, quote, known for his extreme social awkwardness and, quote, incel-like behaviors, and was, quote, so subservient to his network director that he would and has peed in a bottle on the highway rather than be a mere few minutes late to a meeting. So don't be fooled by a parade of men acting tough, walking down the street. You take off those masks and they are exactly who you think they are.
That part, and that's who they are. I had to come back with that because I did discuss it, but I said I wasn't going to give them too much of my time at all, especially things like that. I don't respect it. I don't. But when I found out that they were a bunch of nobodies, I felt it was important to show my audience that they were a bunch of nobodies. Okay? That's it. That's all. A bunch of nobodies. I want to say shouts out to my Rumble family audience. Shouts out to my YouTube family again, guys. I hate to disappoint, but I don't know if I will be able to do separate live streams. It's a little bit too much going on, which means I have to eliminate something. And that more than likely will be the vertical live streams. And I know most of you like the vertical live streams because that's where the party is. Hundreds and thousands of people in there. I don't have the time to do it because there's no difference in the content that I'm bringing on each platform. I have to combine them. Now, if there was a difference in, let's say Rumble was strictly politics, then that would be different. And YouTube was strictly celebrity gossip. But because they carry the same content, I cannot do separate lives. That's just way too much because I would literally be regurgitating and playing the same stuff. That's just too much. When I could, kill two birds with one stone and just make my lives just a little longer. But I want to thank everybody that came through tonight. It'll get greater later. The audience will soon build on YouTube as far as the horizontal side. So plus I want to strengthen that side, the horizontal. I know I could get a crowd in the vertical world, but now, that's a challenge for me, and I love a challenge. So that'll be, a goal for me, is to get as many people that I had on the vertical side on the horizontal side. So, but I'm happy to be back. Again, I get to apply for my monetization. I think it is, and let me double check. I know it's sometime next week. I'm pretty sure I won't have the watch hours by then, but just to know that once I do get the watch hours, I could reapply. July 16th. So we'll see what happens. You know, again, on Rumble, it's an automatic. You're automatically monetized. As soon as you make content, you're making money. You know, I could get rants, which is the same equivalent as super chats, Bitcoins. And again, I'm almost at my 100 followers, which means I could get into their creator program. 100 followers is like 500 on YouTube. That's how I compare it. You get 100 followers on Rumble, it's like having 500 subscribers on YouTube. So, but all right, guys, it is super late. It's after 1 a.m. here on the East Coast. I apologize for being late. It was hard. You know, I haven't been over here on YouTube. I had to create the live streams, do different things on the YouTube side so everything could match. So it just took me a little bit more time. So I just got to get ready a little earlier, you know, the next time. But keep your notifications on. If you on Rumble, please hit that follow button. If you on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Replay gang, I'm depending on you. Hit that like. And everybody, have a good night. Keep your notifications on because more than likely I'll be live.
It's your under degrees. Sip on me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping.
Hold on, I forgot. Shouts out to all my moderators. I love you guys to death because guess what? When they terminated my YouTube channel, y'all quickly made a Rumble account and y'all came over and y'all supported the hell out of me. And I love y'all for that. So shouts out to y'all. Mitch, EJ, Marie, Robin. I love y'all. All right? All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
It's your under degrees. Sip on me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your under degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your under degree, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea.